All right.
Here.
All right.
I know, but we got these on. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
I know, right? So we've got Kendra Stocking here, Director of Sales for Natura. Definitely someone that has been so resilient in the cannabis industry. I mean, crushing
Amen.
it. Yes, yes. I've been watching your journey for quite a long time. So lots of respect to you and glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Yes. And then Derik Gumin. We go way back.
Good to see you, Jenny.
Good to see you. So Derik has been Director of Wholesale at Planet 13 for 4 years now.
Coming up on 5, yeah.
Coming up on 5. So very impressive. Obviously the largest store in our country. And then you've expanded out in Orange County. You've got Florida and then I believe Chicago.
Yeah, Illinois, and we're working on a few others.
Amazing. Congrats on all the success. And then we have Q over here, and Q has an interesting background, so I got to talk about it a little bit because he was a guest judge on America's Top Model, so that's pretty cool.
I appreciate that. Thanks for.
So cool.
I was young and needed the money.
No one's mad at it.
Yeah. And then I think the other thing that's super impressive is I know you sold your previous business to LVMH. So congrats. I mean, obviously you have a knack for what you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, I believe that sometimes you just have to create beautiful things and everything else is gonna just happen and play out. It wasn't like planned, but I created a liquor brand and that got acquired.
It's amazing. And now your new beautiful thing is El Blunto.
That's correct.
Amazing. All right, so let's get right into it. By the way, I am the Market Development Director for Cannabis, and our core product is cylindrical filters for pre-rolls. So very advanced, very innovative, and we're gonna talk about a little of that automation today as well. So obviously you guys, with so much growth, there's also growing pains, right? So when we talk about scaling pre-rolls, I mean, what kind of issues, opportunities do you run into, and how do you combat them?
Scaling is like probably like the biggest issue in any company. You know, like you want to scale. Well, let's put it this way. Creating one product is easy. Creating the same product in the same quality a million times over becomes extremely complex. And there's a fine balance between obviously scale and keeping quality consistent. I believe you can achieve that by sorry, that's extremely loud on my ears now. You can achieve that by like training your staff is really important. You know, like you have to keep your staff trained and educated and you have to give them the space to obviously grow. Yeah, and the other way of making sure that scale is happening at a really good and decent pace is by I can is extremely loud and I have like, you have that too or is it just me?
Rita.
I have like a
Just to jump in, let me see if we're getting on mine. Oh yeah, it's on mine too. To kind of double down on what Q said on the quality control, I think it's so important having staff that knows what they're doing is the only way that you can really scale. If you bring in a bunch of people, a bunch of temps that don't have any proper training or you don't incentivize them to do quality work, you're not going to get the best out of them, right? But when you hire good people, you train them well, you know, you take care of them on the back end, maybe you give them incentives or benchmarks that they reach in a day or how many pre-rolls maybe they'll get, you know, an ounce or something like that. You know, there's some cool things you can do. But, you know, as Q said, it's very difficult in any, whatever SKU or company that you own to scale it up. It takes a lot. And in the pre-roll space, as many of you know, some of us use knockboxes, some of us use machines. Some of us have used all the machines in the world and gone back to knockboxes. So you just have to find that right balance, right? Kendra, you want to add a little bit to that?
I mean, yeah, we're back at knockboxes. I mean, sometimes it just comes back to the simplest way of making something and it works really, really well. So, you know, yeah, you've got to experiment a little bit. You've got to try some of these things. And sometimes you come back to basics until technology can keep up with, get there, right? So yeah, it's always hard. You try a million different things and then you find what works. You stick with that until something better comes along, and then you try that one out. It's a lot of trial and error still. I mean, in California, we're now 6-7 years deep. It's still trial and error. It's still in its infancy. So yeah.
Absolutely. And just speaking of automation a little bit, and I know you're at the Futurola Knockbox. Q has Roll Pros machines. So it is compatible with our filter. It's a cylindrical form factor versus a cone. So let's talk a little bit about that. Why did you choose to go that route, and how has it helped you scale your business?
Yeah, everything that we do at El Blunto is artisanal. So like all our actual blunts, we hand roll.
Amazing.
So we don't stuff anything. And I think there's, like the touch of a human being, like that counts for a lot in terms of quality, especially like talking about scaling again, like if somebody actually QCing is a really important part to keep quality consistent, and the human touch. So using the Roll Pro is the closest to what I've seen on the industry that is to actually rolling the product instead of just stuffing it.
Absolutely.
And this is again piggyback off of what Q said. When you have the people that are QCing all this material coming out of your, whether it's knockboxes or machines, they have to be diligent. They have to be people that know what they're looking for. The machine we use is a pre-roller, just called the pre-roller. And so it busts out, a few hundred every few minutes, right? And somebody's got to be there when they drop out of that little chute. We have a guy there that's looking at every single one that comes through to ensure that this is exactly what we want. You don't want any of that little room next to the crutch. You don't want that to be loose at all. You want to be tightly filled. And then we have another gentleman that sits over there and pushes in every single joint that comes off the line and does a secondary layer of QC. So it's really important that you have that human touch element is critical in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the consistency of the quality is imperative to being in the market and being able to be one of the top brands. So I agree.
Oh, because the market will tell you quickly.
They will tell you, yes.
Very quickly if something is not burning right, if it's anything. I mean, pre-rolls are so important because it's such a beautiful convenience product. And so people are buying them like crazy. And so you have a lot of product out there and people get very angry very quickly for a good reason, right?
Exactly.
You're spending a lot of money on these things. These pre-rolls are not cheap by any means. I mean, they can be, but good quality pre-rolls. It's important.
Yeah. So that's a good segue into, let's talk a little bit about market trends. So what are you guys seeing out there? Do you have anything cool up your sleeve that you're going to be bringing to the market that you want to share? I feel like you are doing a launch next week at Planet 13, aren't you?
Yeah, but it's not that innovative. It's just a collaboration that we did.
That's still great.
Absolutely. It is. And I just wrote something on my LinkedIn that collaborating is so important in that industry.
Absolutely.
It's like us against the world.
Yep.
If we now have to fight every single other person in the industry, then good luck. I want to collaborate. I want to work with people. And build forces and make things happen. When it comes down to innovation, we always want to innovate. I think the cannabis industry, and that's the beauty of what we do and what industry that we're in, is that everybody is innovative. Look around here, everybody is innovating and doing stuff. We're the only industry that has 30,000 different types of strains. Every day there are new strains that are actually getting developed. So I love all of that. But when it comes down to pre-rolls and stuff like that, we're trying to, release a new pre-roll that me and you are actually also working about. I'm not sure if we should announce it already. So let's keep that when it gets a little bit closer. But innovation is a big one. I will pass it to you.
And then Derik will be sure to launch that pre-roll.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
13.
We're looking forward to it. Yeah. To touch on the collaborations and the trends that I'm seeing throughout the market and cannabis brands, the collaborations are key, right? When you have a new brand in cannabis and no one knows who you are yet, you haven't been in the trap, you haven't been in the game for 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to need something to launch you, right? You need that lily pad to jump off of. And so for us, Planet 13 has several brands. One of them is Trendy. Trendy is a Nevada-based brand that we focused for a long time, basically collabing with all the top cultivators in the state here.
And so when we launched in California a couple of years ago, and we started to see, we were getting traction, but we needed that push, right? So I started reaching out to some different groups. Presidential was the first group. They do blunts as well. And so we have a collaboration in California right now with a couple of our strains that we've launched with them. So it's been going great. Just gives you market visibility, right? And then about a year later, I discovered Sluggers. Amazing brand, great marketing, great team. And so we've been working on a really fun collab in California that should be launching in Q1. It's our Purple Push Pop. And so the Sluggers brand has done a great job at collaborations, cookies, Backpack Boys, Viola, you name it. And so we're hoping to bring that collaboration to Nevada very soon as well.
That's exciting, you guys. Kendra, let's hear a little bit more about Sluggers.
Yeah, so collaboration is basically like the main point of everything with Sluggers. We've done, like he mentioned, all of these different collabs with people. We're actually coming out with one with Cam, who's a favorite brand in California of mine, an indoor brand. We're actually using their flower.
Women owned.
Oh, I love Anna. She is so amazing. Yes. So really excited about that. We have one coming with Ball Family Farms, which is really awesome. So
I know
that's
those
coming
guys,
down the pipeline. And then, we just keep coming out with more and more products, which has been super fun. So, and it seems like in California right now, it's more infusion, the better. Different types of infusions. What kind of rosin or THCA diamonds?
Or combination of both.
Yeah, both. Throw them both in there. Like, let's see what happens. It is still a race to the highest THC for a lot of these folks, and consumers are still asking for that. So we're finding new and innovative ways of adding more percentage to people's pre-rolls, and we know that it works. It's been working. I mean, the growth that we've seen over the past year has been nothing like I've ever experienced in my life.
That's amazing. And I think your branding plays a lot into that. So
Yes.
you're segueing more into like the branding and marketing piece. What are some of your guys' best practices for separating yourself? I mean, there's just so many brands out there.
So it's really important to have great consumer-facing marketing, and I think that starts with your packaging. If you ever look at a package of Sluggers pre-rolls, they're really flashy. They're fun. They're bright. They're colorful. We have a wheel that shows taste and like smell and maybe effects, kind of a thing, like
Terpenes, like a terpene wheel.
the terpene wheel. That's what I was looking for. Yes, like a little terp wheel, which is super fun.
That is fun.
And then you open up the case and you actually have like a little baseball card, so it's collectible. So we actually just came out with a baseball card, like what are those files called? Collector's files?
Yeah, the little collector packs. Like
you zip it and you open it up and it has all the little pouches
Like a
for
little
the
booklet.
card.
yeah.
Yeah, so we just built those and we're getting those out to bud tenders, and so that's been super fun and exciting. So yeah, it's all packaging. It's making sure the bud tenders are really excited. We get a lot of product and sample into people's hands, into those bud tenders' hands, and it's been phenomenal.
I think there's an internal and external marketing component. You know, the bud tenders are so important. You have to win their hearts, right? And so I'm a big believer in taking some of that budget and making sure it is spent in the right ways on bud tenders.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think it's about the overall experience, right? When they open up that jar or they open up that pack, like the experience that the consumer feels is the most important thing. Getting that trading card, that little hologram, it's like getting a Pokemon hologram. You open your pack, you're like, oh, that's
Going
what.
back to your childhood.
Yeah. Well, it does. The Sluggers branding is, based on the Topps trading cards branding, right? So that's what I gravitated to initially. I saw that and I said, this is phenomenal. And then I brought it to my team and they loved it because, I was born in 1985. I'm about to turn 40 next year. And don't tell nobody else. But
We'll keep it a secret.
yeah, right. No, but we came from that generation where you're seeing a lot of the resurgences of a lot of this cool stuff from the 80s and 90s being popular again.
Yes, definitely.
And so for Planet 13, it's about the experience, right? Our retail store is an experiential retail. So you come in, we've got a tattoo parlor, we got a consumption lounge, we've got the only liquor license in a dispensary in the world. You come have a drink there. You know what I mean? We got everything, drone shows. And so from a retail standpoint, it's about the experience. And with the brand, on the brand side, it's really about just fine tuning what that experience is for the customer when they open that bag, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, I completely agree. It's definitely packaging to a certain extent. Like, it's just important. The experience is important. My like El Blunto's slogan is actually world's finest cannabis experience. So we're big on that one. But I also believe that when it comes really down to product itself. A lot of people create a brand before they create the product.
Yep.
And the product actually is the driver, because if people don't enjoy what the actual consumption part is, then the most beautiful packaging and the most amazing
get one
experience
sale.
you give to people
that's it.
is not going to count for anything.
That's right. So make sure you have good quality cannabis.
That's right.
That's what you need.
That's right. All right, you guys. So the last question is prediction for the future of pre-rolls next 3 to 5 years. What's going to happen out there?
What is going to happen within the next 3 to 5 years? I hope first and foremost we're going to be legal.
Yeah.
So cannabis is going to be legal, mainstream. And when it goes mainstream, I believe the brands that are able to build the most or the deepest emotional connection with their audience are the brands that are going to thrive.
Absolutely.
And that's where we want to be.
For me, 3 to 5 years, and that's, a lifetime in
You'll
cannabis.
be 45.
Yeah, thank you, Jenny. Yes. I like to hope that, I'm speaking, I guess, from a Nevada standpoint. I'd like to see some of the regulations loosen up a little bit. We're kind of capped on how much we can infuse in a pre-roll before we go over that limit. It's 800 milligrams here in the state of Nevada. So more or less, if I have a pre-roll, it's over 2 grams. I'm not really able to hit 40%. I've got to be right below it. If I've got a 2.5 gram blunt or something like that, and I want to infuse it, well, you're looking at like a 29% max that I can do on it. So I got to use really low testing weed, and I got to throw a medium in there that's not going to punch it over the limit that's legal in the state. So for me, hopefully, this is more of a hope than anything that we loosen up the regulations a little bit to allow for us to get a little bit more creative with our pre-roll lines and our blunts.
So my prediction for the next 3 to 5 years is that as cannabis continues to grow across the country, federally, legally, or per state, however that happens, which we hope.
Federally.
Yes, federally for sure, we hope. That I think there's going to be kind of like we've been massive infusion, high THC. We want the most, we want to be the highest. I feel like there's going to be like a snapback where people are going to say, I don't want the highest anymore. I think there will be a consumer that's looking for more of that normal pre-roll experience that's not infused with anything. You might see some of old school strains come back and actually be put into some call them
Completely agreed.
naked pre-rolls or
definitely,
so,
yeah.
but just OG pre-rolls again. I have a feeling those are going to come back.
I agree. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much. And
Thank you, Jenny.
let's do this again.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks, Mita.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Whoa. Nice.